There will always be voices around you. The voices of society, of family, of people who believe they know what is best for you. And very often, these voices are louder than your own. But tell me, if you silence them for just a moment, if you listen deep within yourself, what is it that you truly want? Because life is not meant to be lived by following the expectations of others. It is meant to be experienced by doing what resonates with your heart. When you do what you want, not what others push upon you, you discover freedom, purpose, and strength that no one can ever take away. So the question is not whether people approve of your choices. The real question is, do you have the courage to live your life on your own terms? There will always be voices around you. From the moment you wake up, the world surrounds you with sounds, with opinions, with expectations. The moment you open your eyes, even before you have the chance to feel your own thoughts, the voices of others are already present. They come in the form of advice from your family, in the form of judgments from society, in the form of unspoken rules about how life should be lived. And because these voices are so constant, so repetitive, it becomes easy to mistake them as your own. You begin to think that what others expect of you is what you actually want for yourself. But this is where the first mistake begins. Because when you no longer recognize which thoughts belong to you and which ones are borrowed from the world, you lose the ability to choose with clarity. And when you cannot choose, you are no longer the master of your own life. You are simply moving in the direction that others have laid out for you, like a traveler walking a path that was never meant for them. These voices are not always malicious. They may come from love, from care, from a desire to protect you. A parent, for example, may tell you to choose a secure profession because in their mind, safety equals happiness. A friend may advise you against taking risks because in their eyes, risks equal failure. Society itself will whisper constantly that success looks like money, reputation, possessions, and status. And the more you hear these definitions, the more you start to question your own. But the problem is not in the existence of these voices. The problem is in the imbalance. When the voices of others grow so loud that they drown out your own inner voice, then you are living a life that is not truly yours. And living in such a way will always carry a sense of emptiness, even if from the outside it appears successful. Imagine a river. It has its own flow, its own natural direction. But when too many obstacles are placed inside the water, when too many stones are forced into its path, the river no longer flows smoothly. It bends unnaturally, it collides, it slows down, it loses its power. Your inner voice is like that river. It is meant to guide you effortlessly toward what resonates with your nature. But the voices of others are like those obstacles. If you let them accumulate, you will no longer flow as you were meant to. Now ask yourself how much of your life, as it is right now, is truly yours. How many of the choices you have made were born out of your own clarity, and how many were born out of pressure? How many things do you pursue because they bring you joy, and how many because they bring you approval? If you take a moment of honest reflection, you might be surprised to see how much of what you call your life actually belongs to others. The greatest challenge is not in hearing your own voice. The greatest challenge is in learning to distinguish it from all the noise. Because your inner voice is quiet, it is subtle, it does not shout. It is often felt as a small pull in the heart, a sense of peace when you think about a certain direction, or a deep uneasiness when you move against it. But to hear it clearly, you must create silence. You must be willing to step back from the constant stream of opinions, to distance yourself from the never-ending noise of comparison, and to spend time listening inwardly. When you start listening, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice that your inner voice has always been there, waiting patiently. It has been speaking in moments of stillness, when you are alone, when you are quiet, when you are honest with yourself. And every time you ignored it, you felt a certain heaviness. Every time you obeyed it, you felt a certain freedom. The body knows. The heart knows. The question is whether you are willing to trust it above all else. The voices around you will never stop. They will continue for as long as you live. People will always have opinions. They will always believe they know what is right for you. And that is fine. Let them speak. But you must learn the art of listening without obeying, of hearing without absorbing. You must recognize that their voices belong to them, not to you. Their fears are not your fears. Their definition of success is not your definition of success. Their limitations do not have to become your limitations. The moment you realize this truth, you begin to reclaim your life piece by piece. You stop moving automatically according to others' expectations, and you begin moving intentionally according to your own. That is the beginning of freedom. If you silence them for just a moment, if you allow yourself to step back from the constant noise of opinions, you will notice something profound. Beneath all the distractions, beneath the weight of expectations, there is a quiet presence within you that has been speaking all along. It does not speak loudly. It does not fight for attention the way external voices do. It whispers, it nudges, it gives you subtle signals. And yet, this inner voice is the most authentic guide you will ever have. The reason many people feel lost is not because they do not have a path, but because they no longer recognize which path belongs to them. They have been so conditioned to follow others that when they finally find themselves alone, they do not know what direction to take. They have silenced themselves for so long that their own desires feel foreign. This is why silence becomes necessary. Because when you remove the noise, the confusion begins to clear, and what remains is the truth of your own being. Ask yourself, when was the last time you made a decision without considering what others would think of you? When was the last time you followed a choice simply because it felt right in your heart, even if no one understood it? For many, it has been a long time. The natural voice within has been buried under layers of conditioning. And yet, if you are willing to sit quietly, to listen deeply, it begins to emerge again, gently guiding you toward what you truly want. There is a difference between what you think you want and what you truly want. What you think you want is often shaped by comparison, by social influence, by what looks appealing in the eyes of others. For example, you may think you want wealth because everyone around you glorifies it. You may think you want recognition because the world rewards attention. But if you examine deeper, you may find that what you truly want is not wealth but freedom, not recognition but peace. These deeper wants cannot always be expressed in material form. They are felt as states of being, and the only way to access them is to listen inwardly, beyond the noise. Listening inwardly is not easy because silence can be uncomfortable. When you first begin to withdraw from the noise, you may feel restless. You may feel the urge to check what others are doing, to seek reassurance from outside, to distract yourself. This happens because the world has trained you to always seek outside rather than inside. But if you endure this discomfort and stay with the silence, slowly a new clarity emerges. You begin to notice that beneath the restlessness, there is calm. Beneath the doubt, there is certainty. Beneath the confusion, there is simplicity. And in this simplicity, the question arises, what is it that you truly want? Not tomorrow, not next year, not according to anyone else's plan. What is it that your heart longs for right now? Sometimes the answer surprises you. Sometimes it is small and quiet, like the desire for more time with yourself, or the need to create, or the longing to learn. Sometimes it is big and life-changing, like the decision to change direction completely. But regardless of what the answer is, when it comes from within, it carries a sense of truth that cannot be denied. It is important to understand that doing what you truly want does not always mean doing what is easiest. Often, the path of the heart is challenging. It requires courage to stand against the expectations of others, to walk away from approval, to choose the uncertain path instead of the predictable one. But difficulty does not mean wrong. In fact, the most meaningful journeys are often those that demand strength. What makes them worth taking is that they belong to you. To live this way requires practice. It requires moments of intentional silence where you withdraw from the distractions and allow yourself to listen. Some find it in meditation, some in nature, some in simple solitude. What matters is not the method, but the willingness to create space. Because without space, the inner voice remains drowned. And with space, it begins to grow louder, stronger, more confident. The more you practice listening, the more you realize that this voice was never absent. It was always there, waiting for you to pay attention. And once you begin to trust it, you notice a shift. Decisions feel lighter. Directions feel clearer. You stop asking, "What will they think of me?" and instead begin to ask, "Does this align with what I truly feel?" And with each decision made in this way, life becomes more authentic, more alive, more your own, because life is not meant to be lived by following the expectations of others. Life, in its essence, is an invitation to experience, to discover, to explore the depths of who you are. When you live by the standards imposed by those around you, you are no longer experiencing life directly. You are living through the lens of borrowed beliefs, walking on paths that have been laid out by someone else's vision. And while this may bring a sense of security, it does not bring fulfillment, because fulfillment can never come from pretending to be someone you are not. When you begin to live only for approval, you are constantly adjusting yourself. You wear masks to fit in. You suppress your real thoughts to avoid judgment. You choose paths that earn praise rather than those that bring peace. And in doing so, you begin to forget who you truly are. The more you bend toward the world, the more you lose your own center. This is why so many people feel a quiet emptiness, even when, on the surface, they appear to have everything. The emptiness does not come from lack of achievement. It comes from the absence of authenticity. To live authentically is to recognize that your life is a unique expression. No one else has lived it before, and no one else will live it again. You have your own way of seeing, your own way of feeling, your own rhythm. When you choose to ignore that rhythm, you begin to live in disharmony. It is like forcing a tree to grow in the shape of another tree. No matter how much effort is put into shaping it, it will never truly thrive. It may survive, but it will not flourish. What resonates with your heart is the compass that life has given you. It is the signal pointing you toward experiences that are meaningful, toward actions that align with your nature. When you follow this resonance, life feels alive. Even in difficulty, there is energy. Even in struggle, there is joy, because you know you are walking a path that belongs to you. But when you ignore this resonance, everything begins to feel heavy. Even success feels hollow, because deep down you know that the applause is not meant for the real you, but for the role you are playing. Ask yourself honestly, how much of what you are doing today is because it resonates with your heart, and how much is because it was expected of you? When you study a certain subject, when you pursue a certain career, when you maintain certain relationships, are they chosen freely, or are they the result of pressure? To live fully, you must learn to ask these questions, because without them you risk living a life that is not truly yours. There is a subtle but powerful truth. When you follow what resonates with your heart, you are not being selfish. You are being aligned. And alignment benefits not only you but also the people around you. Because when you are living authentically, you radiate energy, clarity, and strength. Others may not always agree with your choices, but they will sense the truth in them. And in witnessing your authenticity, they may even find the courage to search for their own. The world often teaches conformity. From a young age, you are told what is acceptable, what is valuable, what success should look like. And because these ideas are repeated so often, they begin to feel absolute. But they are not absolute, they are relative. They change from culture to culture, from generation to generation, even from person to person. What is admired today may be forgotten tomorrow. What is rejected in one place may be celebrated in another. To build your life on these shifting standards is to build on unstable ground. But when you build on the resonance of your own heart, you are building on something unshakable, because it comes from within. To live in this way requires courage, because the moment you begin to follow your heart, you will meet resistance. People will question you. Some will doubt you, others may criticize you. But this resistance is not a sign that you are wrong. It is simply a reflection of the fact that you are no longer conforming. And while conformity feels safe, it does not lead to growth. Growth happens at the edges, when you step away from what is familiar and move toward what is true for you. The journey of following your heart is not about rejecting everyone else. It is about integrating. You can still listen to others, you can still learn, you can still take advice. But in the end, you must filter it all through your own resonance. You must ask, does this feel aligned with me? Does this path bring energy to my spirit or does it drain it? Does this choice expand me or does it shrink me? These questions become your guide, and with each answer, you begin to craft a life that is authentically yours. When you do what you want, not what others push upon you, you discover freedom, purpose, and strength that no one can ever take away. Freedom is not simply the absence of restriction. It is the ability to move in harmony with your own inner nature. Many people mistake freedom for the ability to do anything, but true freedom is the ability to choose what resonates with your spirit, even when it goes against what is expected. It is the freedom to wake up each day and know that your actions are aligned with your truth, not dictated by external pressure. When you walk this path, you begin to realize that the chains holding you were never physical. They were invisible expectations, fears of judgment, the weight of should and must. The moment you act in accordance with your true will, those chains fall away. You feel lighter, more alive, as though life itself has opened a door for you. This is why freedom is discovered, not given. No one can hand it to you. You uncover it the moment you stop living according to the demands of others and start listening to your own heart. Alongside freedom comes purpose. Purpose is not always some grand mission declared to the world. Purpose can be simple. It can be the quiet recognition that what you are doing carries meaning for you. It is the sense that your steps matter, that your actions align with who you are. And this sense of purpose is deeply personal. No one else can define it for you. When you try to adopt someone else's purpose, it feels forced, heavy, artificial. But when you uncover your own, even the smallest actions feel profound, because they reflect your authentic self. There is a strength that arises when you live in this way. It is not the strength of power over others, but the strength of alignment within yourself. People who follow only external pressures often feel fragile because their foundation depends on approval. If approval is taken away, they collapse. But when your actions are based on what you truly want, your foundation is unshakable. Criticism may come, doubt may surround you, but inside there is certainty. You are no longer seeking validation because you already know why you walk your path. That inner strength allows you to move through challenges with resilience because you are fueled not by fear, but by authenticity. This combination of freedom, purpose, and strength creates a life that feels whole. Imagine someone climbing a mountain because everyone around them says it is the right thing to do. They may reach the top, but when they stand there, they feel nothing. The view is empty because it was never their mountain to climb. Now imagine someone climbing a different mountain, perhaps less recognized, perhaps unnoticed by others. But when they reach the top, they are filled with joy because the journey was their own. That joy cannot be explained to others, and it does not need to be. It is the natural result of walking a path that resonates with their heart. When you choose to do what you want, you are not rejecting responsibility. In fact, you are embracing the greatest responsibility of all, the responsibility of living your own life. It is easy to follow the path others set, because then you can always blame them if things go wrong. But when you choose your own path, you accept full ownership of the outcome. This ownership is not a burden, it is empowerment. Because even if you fail, you know the failure belongs to you, and in that there is dignity. If you succeed, the success is yours in a way that no borrowed path could ever provide. The freedom, purpose, and strength you discover are not temporary states. They are qualities that grow the more you practice living authentically. Each choice that comes from within reinforces them. Each step taken in alignment deepens them. Over time, you begin to carry yourself differently. You no longer need to explain or justify yourself, because your life speaks for itself. Others may not always understand, but they will feel the clarity in your presence. And that clarity is the mark of someone who has chosen to live their own truth. So, in the end, life is not measured by how many people applauded you or how many followed your choices. Life is measured by how deeply you lived according to your own truth. The voices of others will always surround you, but they do not carry the weight of your destiny. Only you can walk that path. The question is not whether others agree with you, nor whether the world approves of you. The question is whether you have the courage to listen to yourself, to trust that quiet voice within, and to shape a life that is truly yours. Because when you dare to do what you want, you are not just existing, you are living.